السيدات والسادة، أكرر الترحيب بكم من جديد في آخر جلساتنا في هذه القمة، قمة المعرفة 2018. حديثنا في الجلسة الأخيرة سيكون ممتع، سيتناول موضوع مهم جدا متعلق بصناعة الترفيه، اللاعب الجديد في بناء الاقتصاد. وطبعا هنا أذكر ربما كلمة سمعت عنها أو قرأت عنها لتشرشل في كلمة قالها في خطاب له في عام 1943، قال فيها: إمبراطوريات المستقبل هي إمبراطوريات العقول. وطبعا نحن على مشارف نهاية عام وبداية عام جديد في 2019 بإذن الله، ونعلم أنه إذن لا طريق لنا ولا يعني إجابة لأسئلتنا غير المعرفة. المعرفة وحدها هي من ستحدد مستقبلنا ومستقبل الأجيال القادمة بإذن الله. أرحب مرة أخرى بضيوفي السيد عمرو بانجا المدير العام للهيئة السعودية للترفيه، والسيد جو زيناس الرئيس التنفيذي لشركة ThinkWell، والسيد أوليفييه غارديالدي الرئيس التنفيذي لشركة فرح إكسبيرينس، والسيدة نادين سمرة نائب رئيس الأعمال الرقمية لشركة زي للمشاريع الترفيهية في الشرق الأوسط وإفريقيا. وتحاور ضيوفنا في هذه الجلسة الإعلامية القديرة الأستاذة سهير القيسي. نرحب بهم إذن مرة أخرى، وأترككم مع جلسة أتمنى أن تكون ممتعة ومشوقة. شكرا لكم.
مساء الخير. الترفيه في صناعة الاقتصاد، أو الترفيه كلاعب أساسي وجديد في الاقتصاد. حين وضعت عنوان هذه الجلسة على مواقع التواصل، تفاجأت حقيقة بالفهم المحدود والسائد عن أهمية الترفيه، بل وعن معنى الترفيه. اليوم في هذه الجلسة نتحدث إلى كفاءات رائدة في مجال الترفيه، نتحدث عن عمق المفهوم وكيف يساهم الترفيه في تحسين الاقتصاد بل وفي نشر المعرفة. بداية أرحب بضيوفي Ladies First. نبدأ بالسيدة نادين سمرة. نادين تدير مؤسسات رقمية وكانت أيضاً سباقة في خلق التحول الرقمي في المنطقة في السنوات الأخيرة من خلال خدمات الفيديو تحت الطلب مثل شاهد.net وياك وزي 5. نرحب أيضاً بالسيد عمرو بناجا رئيس هيئة الترفيه السعودية. السيد بناجا تولى قبل هيئة الترفيه مناصب متعددة في المجال، أي مجال الترفيه على المستويين العربي والدولي. أرحب أيضاً بالسيد أوليفير غارالدي، لديه خبرة ل25 سنة في مجال الترفيه وتحديداً التطوير المالي والتشغيلي لما يعرف بالثيم باركس أو الملاهي الضخمة أو مدن الملاهي الكبيرة ومراكز الترفيه. شركة فرح التي يترأسها اليوم مسؤولة عن تشغيل عالم فيراري، عالم ياس المائي ياس ووتر وورلد أبو ظبي، ومشروع وارنر براذرز. أيضاً نرحب بالسيد جو زيناس مدير شركة ThinkWell التي تشكل مدينة الثلج سنو بارك، سكي دبي وسكي إيجيبت في مصر، إضافة إلى مشروع وارنر براذرز في أبو ظبي إحدى مشاريعها، وهو عضو في هيئة الترفيه السعودية. أهلاً بكم إلى هذه الجلسة، وأود أن أبدأ بالسيد بناجا. راح نخلي الجلسة عربي إنجليزي في ترجمة فورية. We'll make it English and Arabic. You have a translation device, you can use it. And I'll start with Mr. Banaja. I want you to tell us first, what is entertainment? As I said at the beginning, when we started, and when I put the headline on the social media, I noticed that there's kind of shallow idea and kind of shallow awareness about entertainment. So let's start now by telling people what is entertainment.
All right, thank you very much for having me here today. I think that is a very broad question that needs to be answered in terms of what is entertainment for the visitors and how we see entertainment as the government. So for a visitor to any entertainment offering, they're looking for basically a variety of different offerings, and they're looking for basically a great experience. Okay, from the government perspective, we're looking at this a little bit differently. One is offering a broad entertainment offering that really has multiple segments. So you're talking about theme parks, you're talking about museums, you're talking about e-entertainment, recreational sports, you're talking about nature, water parks. All of these are offerings that the government is trying to bring, but they're also trying to regulate this and bring this in a very, very proper manner so that it's licensed, it's regulated, it has the right quality and standards. We're also looking at it from a funding perspective, and we're looking at it from an enabler perspective, meaning do we have all of the right talent that is going to fill this new exciting entertainment sector. So there is, in addition to the happiness and a lot of offering that the visitor wants, there's a huge economic impact through this sector that entertainment really is. And the economic impact that we're trying to create is contribution to GDP, as well as job creation. So this, in a nutshell, if you look at entertainment, it is a sector that brings joy and happiness to the visitors, but from a government perspective, it also brings economic impact through GDP contribution as well as job creation. So that's really what the entertainment sector is from our perspective.
Mr. Garaialde, do you have something to say first about the entertainment? What is entertainment? How important is entertainment first in our lives, and then we will talk later about economy.
I mean, entertainment, if you look at the entertainment nowadays, that's a way for the families to get together. There's not so many opportunities where you can share emotion and happiness with your kids. It goes from the father to the small kids. You can share emotion. And that's something that makes entertainment very powerful, because this is part of our life where you can share emotion, smiles with your member of your family, with your friends, and keep memories for life, I would say.
Exactly, and I think entertainment shaped our childhood so much and programmed our mind, إذا صح التعبير. Mr. Zenas, tell us about entertainment. What do you have to say about it?
For me, it is indeed a challenging word, because it's two things. It's a product that is consumed and exported and imported, but then again, it's an industry that magnifies social means. It's a communication tool as well. As Olivier said, it's a shared emotional journey for a family together. But it ends up really being reflective of the social fabric, and so I think it's incredibly powerful because it can drive economies, but it can also drive social messaging in a way, so you have to handle it very carefully.
Why you said we have to handle it carefully? Can you explain more to us?
Well, I think it's, especially the way that we consume entertainment. If you look at the history of entertainment, it used to be something that was pushed out. Go back to the 18th century operas as an example. Governments would create entertainment and it would deliver it to the audiences. If you look at we are now, the audience is now creators. The audience has the ability with their phones to be creating the content that is turning into entertainment and voice their concerns, their opinions, and everybody now is not just the audience and the consumer, but they're a collaborator in creating what this entertainment is and what it means.
So this is a new challenge with the social media. When we talk about people giving entertainment through videos like YouTube, is it a new challenge?
Oh, absolutely. It's a challenge, but it's also really exciting because now your audiences are engaged in different ways. If you look at concerts and things like that, even though digital consumption is on the rise and there's more and more, you're also seeing ticket buying for music festivals and concerts are higher than they ever were. The idea of having shared social experiences together, even in the digital environment, is very important.
Madam Samra, of course you want to talk about the VOD and the videos. Tell us about VOD in the Arab region. How is it doing right now?
Sure. So probably I'll start with the definition of entertainment for me. So entertainment for me is video viewership. Movies, series, music clips, you name it. And with the changes in the society that we're seeing, and in terms of the viewership habits, not only for the Arabic audience, but actually for the international audience, like a global audience, is that everyone is watching content wherever they want, at their own pace, using different applications on web, in addition to TV. So I'm coming from the media industry, from the TV industry, but at the same time, the trends that we see in terms of how people are consuming content is moving and transitioning. And as we heard from you earlier on regarding the YouTube challenges, well, yeah, I mean, it opened up a complete new way of consuming content. It's an eye-opener, in my opinion. Not only a challenge, it's a good challenge to have, because this is how the consumption and viewership is happening when it comes to people. They are moving and transitioning. They are changing in the way that they are consuming content. So despite the fact it's a challenge, but it is an opportunity for all of the TV producers, content producers, is to open up to new ways of delivering the content, and not only through TV channels, but also through different mediums, whether it is apps or connected TVs, smart TVs, Apple TV, or whatever connected device that we might have.
Great. Now we have a short video about the VOD service. Maybe it will give us more information about this entertainment service. So moving to you, Mr. Banaja. Now with the rise of 2030 vision in Saudi Arabia, we can say that the entertainment sector is kind of a new sector to the Saudis. Tell us about that. How they received the activities that you've done recently in Saudi Arabia?
Sure. So this sector, as you mentioned, is a completely new sector in Saudi Arabia. There were some things that were going on, but really the rise of an entertainment authority happened about 2.5 years ago, and it stemmed from Vision 2030, which basically is to diversify the economy as well as offer a vibrant society within Saudi Arabia, and that meant creating this sector, creating new jobs. And with that, we launched the Entertainment Authority that has basically done a lot in the last two and a half years. When we traveled around the world in the past, before cinemas were created, Saudis used to be always asked, why don't you have cinemas? Why don't women drive? Now we've gotten over that obstacle, and we've done a lot since that time. I think obviously we have introduced cinemas early this year. We've unlocked the potential of basically a lot of live events that has happened in national days, but across the year. We've brought concerts, we've brought Comic-Cons, there's been street festivals. There's a lot of things that happened in the last 2.5 years that cater to Saudi Arabia as a whole. We've reached over 50 cities, we've reached 20 million people. We've had around 4,000 event days in Saudi Arabia over the actually just last year alone. The acceptance has been tremendous. In fact, one of the biggest problems that we have whenever we launch a new event or do something new is actually traffic control and crowd control. We have done things like bring Cirque du Soleil, we have done things like bring Nelly, Yani, Andrea Bocelli is coming. We have international events like the Formula E. We are launching new cities like Giddiya, which is 2.5 times the size of Disney. And for me, as somebody who has grown up in Saudi and not seen this, but has now witnessed over the last 2.5 years all of these things coming, I'm excited for a new generation of Saudi Arabia. It's something that our kids can be happy about. We can, within Saudi Arabia, travel from city to city to experience new offerings. And we can also invite the world to basically come and visit Saudi and open up a new tourism sector. People used to come to Saudi Arabia mainly for religious tourism, but now we're seeing people come to Saudi Arabia for entertainment. And we're not seeing that just on from regional or neighboring countries. But as I said, today, one of the exciting things that we have next week is a new race, which is the Formula E that the General Sports Authority has brought in. But this is a 3-day festivity that is now on a global map of a sporting event that basically happens in 15 cities around the world. And Saudi Arabia is one of those cities. During that event, we will not just have sporting events, but we will have culture and entertainment. We are having concerts. And whoever used to think that Saudi Arabia has had basically difficult processes in terms of visa offerings, today with an event like this, we're testing for the very first time, where you buy a ticket to such a global event, you automatically get a visa with it as well, and you come into Saudi Arabia. So as I said earlier on, I think when we think about entertainment, there's a lot of things that are out-of-home entertainment that is huge potential in Saudi Arabia from all of the different offerings that were not there. There are in-home offerings and digital offerings. So from a consumer perspective or a visitor perspective, it is really interesting times for Saudi Arabia. But also for the investors, it's also a really, really exciting time for them to come and capitalize on this opportunity, open up businesses. The government is a facilitator to stimulate this sector. So whereas we might have been doing the live events in the first couple of years on our own, we invite the private sector to come in and test this out themselves. There's huge demand, there's sponsorship opportunities, there's ticketing opportunities, and there are many platforms for them to come and create local experiences and really satisfy the local need.
Great. We'll go back to the entertainment sector in Saudi Arabia, but I think the video is ready right now with the voice about the VOD, Video On Demand Service. Please play the video. Going back to you, Madame Samra, tell us about the VOD service. What are you giving that is different from what is television is giving or the classic television is giving?
Right. I think what we are trying to do is to extend the experience of the user rather than making it only TV related, where you have limited amount of airing time. To expand that. And nowadays, the users are really used to using all of the social media and all of the digital technologies that are available for them, such as YouTube and Facebook and other products in there. And they are accustomed now to play content at their own pace whenever they want. Nowadays, people are not patient enough to wait for content to come to them through a TV, EPG, and wait for the particular series to show up, or wait for episode 1 and then wait for one more week and watch episode number 2. They are, we are in a very fast-paced environment nowadays, and they want to watch the content immediately as it airs or as it gets produced in the US, as an example. So they don't want to wait for a windowing time when it comes to TV. And normally the relationship between TV and non-TV solutions or the digital side is that the digital platforms wait for the TV until it airs. That's what we call windowing. And then it finishes the time, holds the content, and then it makes it available in other platforms. What we are trying to do is to change this. What we want to do is either once the content airs, which we do with our current TV channels, so whenever we air particular content, it's immediately available on WIAC or on Z5. And on some other instances, the content is available on our products before it is aired on TV. And I think this is what really people are keen to see, and this is why they would be paying a premium to watch that content ahead of the TV airing. So there are multiple things that we provide for them when it comes to the video on demand. So it's the availability of the content in a timely manner, the ability to do binge watching And then you hear lots of people sitting at home on the weekends or the weekdays, binge watching a particular series. They finish 15 episodes at once, and then they move ahead and do something else. So this is becoming a very normal way of dealing with things nowadays. And in order to do this, the only solution for the TV broadcasters is to offer a strong VOD platform. And considering the video on demand product as a mainstream, it's not like a catch-up service for the TV. Actually is an independent revenue generating business that eventually what's going to happen is that if TV starts to lose and it's right now in general in the world, the TV business is starting to lose their revenue gradually. What will bring back these TV channels is having a strong VOD presence in the market. And accordingly, your business model is changing or is shifting from being very traditional into being digitized. And this is what we call digital transformation in the media industry and in particularly broadcasting.
Great. Mr. Garaialde, tell us how the theme parks or the entertainment industry in UAE, especially in Abu Dhabi, contribute to the economy, especially the tourism sector.
First of all, the tourism sector in Abu Dhabi is it's a key strategic economy areas that you can find in the Abu Dhabi vision. And what we look at what happened in the past 10 years is quite impressive. Just looking at the numbers in the Abu Dhabi airport, last year we reached 25 million visitors, passenger, which is a growth since 2013, from 2013 to 2017, a growth of 63%, which is quite impressive. If we look at the entertainment sector, entertainment industry, according to the IAPA, which is the International Association of Amusement Park and Attractions, regrouping all the major players in the industry, the UAE has the fastest growth in the theme park industry in the region, which is very significant. Looking at Yas Island, which is the leisure and entertainment hub for Abu Dhabi, we did a lot of investment. We've got the Yas Marina Circuit, which is the famous track where you've got the last Formula One race that's taking place each end of the season. It took place like 3 weeks ago. You've got the Yas Mall, which is the biggest mall in Abu Dhabi. You've got 7 hotels, totalizing 2,100 rooms in the island, and of course you've got the theme parks. We've got the golf also, Yas Links, which is a beautiful golf, and we've got the 3 theme parks. The 3 theme parks, big brand. You've got Ferry World, Abu Dhabi, which is around the thrill. I mean, we wanted to take into account the experience that a driver can have driving a Formula One, that you've got a lot of rides where you can feel this kind of sensation. You've got Warner Brothers World that we just opened in July with the DC Comics environment, the Looney Tunes, then you can find all the superheroes. And we've got Yas Water World, not a big brand, but we are happy that last week we won at the World Travel Association, we won the world leading water park prize award. That was quite something impressive. Then looking at this, we've got beautiful product. And back to your question about the tourist, the impact that this can have on the tourism. This is beautiful product. Our goal now is to drive visitation from all over the world to Yas Island and to Abu Dhabi. And for this reason, we opened like a tour operator also on our site to go in the different market. Then we've got offices in India, in China, in KSA, in UK, in Germany, and in Russia, where we've got people working for us, linking a partnership with tour operators and selling packages. The idea is to drive people to Abu Dhabi, to Yas Island, which becomes a destination, one of the top destinations in the world, where we can sell all this kind of component, all this kind of product. People can stay 2 days, 3 days, 5 days, and spending this. Then, of course, it will drive revenues, it will drive visitation to Abu Dhabi, and that's our main goal with the tourism.
Great.
And the theme
Mr.
parks.
Zenas, as Mr. Garaialde said, the success in the entertainment sector in UAE, especially Abu Dhabi, is really impressive. Now tell us about the strategy. What was the right strategy that made Abu Dhabi or UAE the fastest country in terms of entertainment growth when we talk about, of course, theme parks?
Well, I think, yeah, theme parks is one narrow slice of entertainment, but the growth in the region here is there was a demand. You know, the the vision of Dubai and the Emirates as a whole and their growth strategy and how they're really a port to the rest of the world. You know, globally, what is it, 2/3 of the planet is 5 hours away or something in the flight. That's a huge tourist destination market you can pull from. And I think one of the things that Abu Dhabi is doing very, very well is they're creating this density of attractions. They weren't trying to get successful just on opening the F1 track and Farah World alone. You have your own 2030 vision, and there's a density now with the Warner Brothers World and the water park and another theme park coming online that creates a 3 or 4 day destination. That's what Orlando did with Disney. It wasn't the success of one park, it's the fact that you now become a destination and you remove friction. If you really want to look at a good entertainment experience, it's easy. You don't have to work hard for it, and I think that's something that they're doing on Yas Island very well. But then if you look at the power of entertainment to affect other economies, you automatically think of Orlando and theme parks, but separately, if you look at transmedia, I think the London School of Economics did a study recently, and the intellectual property of Harry Potter brings in $4 billion a year to London. I mean, the value of that, it goes from the books to the films to tourist destinations to attractions to now Broadway plays and the films. And the power of one IP that's local is really important. And I think it's that localization ultimately of entertainment product is where a culture and an economy really can survive and thrive. Similarly, you look at Montreal with Cirque du Soleil, basing out of there in 1984, and over the last 30 years now, it's transformed. The city of Montreal is a creative hub for the planet, and the government incentivizes creative industries to grow that, and so much is coming from that, and it's such a vibrant piece of their economy. So it's not just that the content is good, it's all the industries that feed the development of that content, and then it becomes purely local.
Going back to Mr. Banaja, now in one of the recent speeches of His Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman, he talked about UAE as an example when we're talking about entertainment. How are you going to compete? Because we want to have UAE as an example, but we want to go much more higher. Now tell us, what is the strategy that you have when it comes to entertainment sector in Saudi Arabia?
Sure. I think, first of all, I think the UAE is not just an example in entertainment. I think the UAE has been, as the Crown Prince basically said, basically in leadership they have been a role model.
I agree, but because we're talking today about
entertainment. So definitely in entertainment, it is one of the sectors that they have shown tremendous leadership, and they have also been able to attract an international audience. We come, we visit here, we see some of the learnings of Yas, we see some of the learnings of Dubai Parks, we see all of the learnings that are here, and we try to learn from these things. But I do think that rather than looking this as competing with the Emirates, I think we each complement each other in what this region has to offer. Saudi Arabia is a very vast country. It is very different than the UAE. So you have things in the north, things in the south, things in the middle of the country. We have places that are actually cold. We have desert climate, and you have everything from Jeddah to the eastern province. And all of the offerings that we could have can really complement each other. I think you will see differences in the offerings, just like you see differences in the offerings between Abu Dhabi and Dubai. You will see that between Saudi Arabia and the Emirates and other places. So for example, I go back to a Formula experience. We didn't bring the Formula One, but now this region has been a very popular region for racing enthusiasts that come to see the Formula One, they come to see the Formula E, and we can complement each other in these things. I think the other area where we can definitely benefit is all of the skilling. I mean, this is an economic driver like we've been talking about. And when you're creating an economic driver like the entertainment sector, you can cooperate and collaborate in terms of all of the upskilling that you're doing. So for example, what we're trying to do right now is we're trying to build a theme park in Giddiya that is signed with Six Flags. Different operator, Six Flags is going to come here, and they're going to also, we've asked them to build an academy, a Six Flags Academy. We can basically upskill and provide all of the knowledge and transfer of knowledge from an operator like Six Flags, bring it to the region and collaborate with a place like the Emirates just to make sure that we have the skill sets across the region. But I also think that there is tremendous opportunity and hopefully the short term to try and also export some of the things that we have here in the region to the outside world. So we're not just talking about bringing some of the Western brands here to and taking some of the knowledge that they've brought and bringing it here. There's a huge opportunity for us to create some of the Arab local culture experiences that we all share as Emiratis, as Saudis, people living here in the region, and start exporting this abroad. So what is the Arabian cultural experience that we can maybe take to other parts of the world? I go back to Disney. There's been a if you went to Disney recently, there's a Morocco hub and a Morocco center. Is there an opportunity for us to really export some of our Arab culture and take that entertainment offering from this region and start basically sending it abroad? So honestly, I think that the Emirates has done a great job to try to drive tourism here. We would support the Emirates and the entire region if we started making sure that the Middle East is a tourism destination that welcomes tourism, and we would even create further jobs and culture and knowledge transfer if we start even exporting what we have to the outside world. So no, I do not see a competition. I actually see a real complementary.
Of course, you complement each other.
Yeah.
We're so happy, and we look up to the experience in UAE as Arabs, of course, and we're happy that because of the leading role of United Emirates and even internationally, not only when we talk about our region. At the same time, we're very happy for Saudi Arabia, especially after the vision, the 2030 recent vision activities, especially in the entertainment sector.
Yeah.
So the best of luck.
Thank you very much.
And I want to talk with Mr. Zenas, because you work together in the entertainment sector in Saudi Arabia. What is the strategy?
What is the strategy?
When it comes to the next activities, or when it comes to the future of entertainment in Saudi Arabia?
You know, I think there's really three phases, right? The first is the ignition phase of opening up, and it's what they've done really successfully in Saudi for the last 2 years of, you know, showing the world they're open for entertainment, importing entertainment, doing shows, you know, in a remarkable speed. Now they have to build the sector that can support it in the second phase. So it's you don't want to import everything, you know, so how do you get the infrastructure, the labor and everything, and start creating those Saudi jobs that are the support system? And then the third phase is the localization of content. How do you then create the academies, that it's an ongoing ecosystem that is supporting it? And that's, the entertainment industry is really, really unique that way, because it combines, you know, if you think holistically at entertainment, not just theme parks and live entertainment, but you have engineering, you have sciences, you have technology, you have animation, you have computers, you have broadcast and streaming, and it really, other than defense contracting, it's the leading driver of technology and cultures and consumption. So that will ultimately feed the economy and feed the education system and the job market.
Great. I want to ask you about the VOD service. When we talk about statistics, numbers, how successful is the VOD service now in the region?
Sure, I think the VOD as an industry in general is still in the beginning of its course. I think that it's going to be flourishing more and more, and this is going to be, as I said, just a mainstream in terms of an independent industry. And we've seen examples so far. So we've seen Netflix as an example, very common and popular because, specifically because they have Hollywood content and everyone looks for watching their content. So they've been very, very successful, and they have a global footprint. There are few facts that we really need to realize as well, is that regarding the opportunities that is there in the MENA region. Knowing that in Saudi Arabia, it has the highest percentage of watching videos on YouTube per capita in the world. So that's a huge number. This is a very interesting realization to see how important is this region when it comes to the video consumption. And another thing is regarding the internet penetration and the quality of the internet that we receive between our hands. When it comes to GCC countries, you are talking about 100% internet penetration. Between UAE and Saudi Arabia, 100 to 95%. So that's another very important fact that really encourages you or makes you realize the future of video consumption and the future of the streaming in general. At the same time, if we look at our numbers in particular, when it comes to Wayak as a service, we are around 1 year old, and we have on our platform around 3 million visitors, unique visitors per month, and they watch video content of around 7 million video content per month at least, and of course in Ramadan the numbers go higher. And we are just a fresh platform per se. Z5 is also, when it comes to the launch, it is a very recent product in India. We made it to #2 app in entertainment sector. So why also the video on demand is very important in entertainment and in knowledge in particular is that at the end of the day, entertainment and movies and series and content production is the easiest way to transfer knowledge. And it goes across cultures. So one of the things that we do is we bring content from India and we dub it into Arabic for the Arabic audience. And the Arabic audience is really happy with that type of content. They really connect with the culture. And then lots of cultural elements really gets transmitted into the Arabic culture. Another very important realization that I like to share with you, and where some of the people in the media industry, especially in streaming, miss out, is that the point of localization, which is a very important point that you've mentioned, and I'm really happy that I heard this from you, is that despite the fact that we really, in terms of the Middle East, people really like and open to watch different type of content coming from Hollywood and everywhere in the world as well, that becomes only 20% of the total video viewership when it comes to MENA region. The rest of the 80% is actually local Arabic content. So that's the power of localization. So when it comes to, if we want to tie this with the economy, then, well, a big portion of it is tied up into the local productions, which are the Arabic series, whether they are Egyptian, Syrian, from the Gulf area, Kuwait, Saudi, and UAE, which it is growing. It's a very big sector nowadays, and it's growing. We see the amount of series that are being produced on a yearly basis coming out from UAE and Kuwait, and they are just increasing exponentially year by year. And I think this is basically what's going to be a big part of the economy. So media industry by itself is a very large portion of the economy, but the video streaming in particular is right now and will be occupying a higher portion of the economy. It's just because of what facts are telling us right now. The users here in the Middle East started to realize that if they want to watch a good quality content with a good streaming quality, they need to pay, which is a very difficult thing to talk about 5 years back. So with some of the initiatives that has been started before in terms of VOD, people were a bit hesitant to pay for it, and piracy was a big thing, and it's still a big thing. But we started to see a little bit of shift in that regard. And once this starts to accelerate, the business models and the revenues which are going to be driven out of the subscriptions is substantial. So from a subscription perspective, this is going to be big. From an ad revenue, it's going to impact the economy because the ads are going to be moving slowly from the TVs being the largest place to put all of the advertising money into video, into the streaming industry. And at the same time, in terms of the content production, so people will start producing, as they are right now, producing content specifically for streaming services, which we call originals. And in Z5, we have already 23 originals. In Netflix, you see a lot of originals coming up, which is mainly their competitive advantage. And we're going to be seeing a lot coming for WEAC as well as a service. So when it comes to the impact of the economy, there are a lot of different areas that's going to be impacted based on the change that is happening in the world, where the shift is going into really a digital transformation type of thing.
Great. Mr. Banaja, how you look at the future of the VOD entertainment?
I think it's the future. I mean, it's being digital in general is being integrated into everything in our lives. So it's not just being integrated in the way that we consume media, but it's even being integrated into theme parks and attractions, water parks. So we were just in IAPA a month ago, which is the big expo that happens in Orlando every year. The big theme is digital, virtual reality. Even when you ride a roller coaster, for example, the roller coaster might stay the same, but the basically experience that you get through the roller coaster changes because all of the content changes, you know, as you go through tunnels or whatever,
Yes.
whatever it is. So digital has played a transformation in the way that we consume media, but it's also played a huge transformation in the way that everything in entertainment happens. And I'll give another example, and I think we have to be very aware of what this means from an investor perspective. So in the past, an investor used to go and build a family entertainment center, think it was a one-off thing. They invest and they get constant return. We've seen things that have basically come into this sector that is, you know, new and creative. And I'll give an example of Kidzania, which is a great way of actually transferring knowledge to kids. Kidzania, you go in, you can be a doctor one day, you can be an ambulance another day, you can work at a gas station, and what places like this have to be aware of is that they cannot just build this experience and then not change the content. They have to continuously change the content that are in these places. So, for example, if you take your kids to a Kidzania, one day they want to be a doctor that does an operation on the head. Next day they want to do something else in the hospital. With digital, it's a completely new world. You actually have to understand that digital means that you have to continuously change content. So you're basically not just building things one-off, you are refreshing content all the time. And the reality is the reason that people have to be aware of these things is because social media, the consumption of social media, the way that they can consume media on video of demand has made our attention span a lot shorter. In order to basically entertain people, you have to make sure that you are not providing them the same experience. You are continuously enhancing the experience for the visitor. So I think that everything related to digital is going to impact so many things across the sector. And I'll give one last example. When we were again in Orlando, one of the things that a regulator does is actually provide the quality and standards for theme parks, water parks, that as a regulator, you want to ensure all of these standards are met for the safety and security of everybody that visits these things. We went and visited a company that basically looks at the water quality of all of the water parks. And I visited the company, and basically through an application, he was able to look at what the water quality was like in a completely different city. He was actually showing me Vegas and different parks within Vegas, what the water quality is and whether it met the standards or not. And through that application, he managed to actually see which ones were not meeting the certain standards And then I said, okay, so what do you do in the situation when a water park, for example, does not meet your criteria when you see it on a dashboard in an application? He was able, through a press of a button, to basically release some of the chemicals into the water parks that they actually manage. So technology is an area that is going to impact so many different things, from the way that we consume media, from the way that an attraction is built, and to the way that we actually even regulate, maintain quality and standards. And I think this is just going to continue to change, and it's going to continue to evolve.
I think you have something to say about that, Mr. Garaialde.
No, I fully agree with what has been said so far. I mean, we went through a digital transformation on our side, because digital transformation, when you go to the theme park, of course, you've got the ride, you've got the attractions, you've got the experience that you have with the employees. I mean, that's a very important component. And now we've got this dimension that is coming up, the digital experience. Because the beauty of this digital experience is that your experience with the theme park starts before you arrive in the park, because you can download an app, you can do all these things that you can even experience the park before you go to the park. Once you're in the park, queue line and everything, you can interact with the guests. And to make some experiences which were previously kind of boring, I mean, the queue line is not like the best experience you can have in the theme parks, but to get it and to make it a kind of entertainment component of your experience in the park. And then when you're out of the park, and of course you can interact during the whole time that people spend in the park with them. And then when they go back home, you can still continue and discuss with the people. That's definitely, the digital becomes a component of the experience in itself, but also it's a marketing tool. It's a big marketing tool with all the social media and everything, this new dimension. I mean, it's a kind of revolution that we are going through, definitely.
Great. Mr. Zenas, tell us about the digital, how you use it in the parks or in the entertainment sector in UAE or Abu Dhabi.
Well, I think, digital in general to us it's just another tool in the toolbox. It's really an impressive tool, but we see a lot of projects get stuck because they're using it because it's the newest and best thing, and that's not the reason to use it. I think we always design our experiences from the guest perspective, and I think we always want to focus on regardless of the entertainment type, authenticity, adaptability, and giving the agency to the guests. So what I mean by that is, authentic content is always going to be successful. If it's completely fake and it doesn't feel like you're really in the world, if it's not immersive, it still can be fantasy, but when you're there, if you go to Animal Kingdom and it's a jungle environment, even though it's not real, it feels authentic and you're part of the world. If it's just a graphic of a character on a roller coaster, that's not authentic, and that won't pull somebody into it. Adaptability, I think, goes to what digital does well. We no longer broadcast, it's now narrowcasting, right? Everybody wants what they want when they want it. So how do you design experiences that allow for that and adapt for different parts of the day, that Wednesday morning at 10, the environment is one thing, and Friday night at 10 p.m. it can become something different. We can use digital for that and help do that. But then I think the other important thing is giving the audience agency, letting them make their choices, because they're going to do that with all their other consumption of media. So how do you bring that into a theme park as well, where they can go on their journeys that they want? It's borrowing from video games and borrowing from other success-based entertainment where you have a level of mastery, and because you've come to the theme park 3 times, it knows you've been there and you've done these things, so it brings you now to the next level. So we're trying to incorporate that type of, interactive design into the things we do, so it's not the same experience every time.
Yeah.
You can do that with virtual reality, you can do that with other media, but those are just tools right now. It's more embedding it into the experience over time.
Great. Madam Samra, if we talk about, for example, Netflix as an example, Netflix, they make really great deal of income. They produce their own shows, and they also use Netflix to talk about issues and produce shows, produce reality shows. did you reach this area where you can now make money and produce shows?
Right, so right now we are producing shows on Z5. We call them Z5 Originals. We have 23 shows, which are between series and movies. Very high quality productions, HD content. I think what is very interesting about what you said is that the creation of content comes with a message. And with the example that you talked about, that there are cultural elements that goes within that content. So it is, the content probably is the easiest and the most important thing that we need to look at when we want to either transfer information or communicate a particular idea to the audience. And accordingly, it's really risky, right? So if you use that tool in a way that the society does not want, then you are creating a problem. And accordingly, I believe a lot in local productions and local talents to do a lot of message conveying and information, getting the right information into the right place and so on and so forth, using the right content that you produce, whether it is a music show or even a series or a movie or even a reality show.
In spreading knowledge.
Again, sorry?
Yes.
Yeah, so absolutely. So it's part of the knowledge transfer. Of course, I am with the multicultural part of things where the audience gets really the access to different types of content, and that's why we're getting the Bollywood content dubbed into Arabic, and we're getting some of the other original content dubbed into Arabic to provide the Arabic audience. But I think this is a key area where the industry really needs to look at seriously and make sure that they are communicating the right messages through the right content to the audience. And here I'm not talking about the censorship. I'm just talking about purely the ideas that you are trying to propagate within the society. And back to the point where we are trying to merge the economy here when it comes to the video on demand product. Obviously, the purpose of all of these products is to monetize and be able to make money after all. So the way that we are doing this right now is in two ways. The first model is, we call it AVOD, which is advertising model. So the user will go and watch the content, and then they will be seeing some ads coming up, and then they move ahead. And then the other way is the subscription, where the user pays a particular fee for them to access the content of their choice and continue watching them. Now, paying for the content, it might be a challenge in the Middle East, as I explained before, but people are nowadays, are more open to pay for the good content, yes, the good quality of service, and be able to watch the content that they want at their own pace without any obligations, binge watch the content that they want at any time that they want.
Right. Mr. Banaja, when we talk about entertainment and knowledge, how does it work?
Sure. I'm going to start talking about basically the economy and then tie it to knowledge, basically. And I'll put it in the context of Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is a 32 million population, of which 60% is under the age of 30, and their habit has been basically to travel for entertainment. $6 billion is actually spent for leisure and tourism by Saudis outside of Saudi Arabia. Yes. That is a big number to be spending outside of Saudi Arabia. 50% of all of the travel that Saudis do is for leisure and entertainment. That again is a very huge number, when usually people travel for business, to visit family, and leisure is a big portion. Today what we're trying to do is to try to stop that, of people going abroad, and when they usually travel for leisure and entertainment, they consume the culture of other markets, which has a...
you have noticed some changes for the past 2 years.
Absolutely. So these numbers is basically what gives you an economic driver to say, can we stop this spend abroad? Can we bring some of this GDP back to Saudi Arabia and make sure that we build a local economy? So our target really is to do a couple of things. One is create local jobs, and when you look at the numbers, you are going to our target by 2030 is to create about 250,000 jobs. This is direct jobs in the entertainment sector, as well as indirect jobs through the supply chain that the entertainment sector applies. We also want to create a spend within the local local economy of around $9 billion that is local. When we create an entertainment sector that is that vibrant, and by the way, the jobs that you're creating, this is a sector that depends mainly on small and medium-sized businesses. So in the US, this sector is basically a small, it's not the big companies. You know, yes, you have Disney, that is a huge company, but in reality, 80% of the entertainment sector is small and medium-sized businesses. So when you create this sector and you create all of these jobs, what you're basically doing is creating a very vibrant local sector. You basically try and you create all of the knowledge within Saudi Arabia, and you retain it, and then you start basically also exporting it. Today, there is, if you do not have a creative and a local economy for that, people are traveling abroad. They're basically transferring all of the knowledge, and that's being used outside of Saudi Arabia. So you're creating an economic driver now. I'll give you some examples of when you have a vibrant economy, how you can also transfer some of the culture that you have as a country to outside of the world. Hollywood is a great example of, once you create a very vibrant culture for something, you can basically export the US culture to the outside world. Bollywood is another example. They've created a very healthy sector. Now everybody knows about the culture in India. And what we can do by creating this sector is also basically introducing people to what the culture is within Saudi Arabia. I think we're at a very early stage. I mean, we won't kid ourselves. We have a lot to do today to basically make sure that the local content and the local enablers are in place. We want to have all of the offering in place so that people see Saudi Arabia as an attractive destination. We want to make sure that it is sustainable by making sure that you have all of the people that work in these jobs are local people. They have the knowledge on how to build it within Saudi Arabia, and then hopefully attract others to come into Saudi Arabia and maybe export some of that. Today, a company like Disney has created the biggest revenue contributor to Disney's business is actually some of their intellectual property. They actually sell a lot of merchandise. They sell a lot of products and to other parties, and they gain a lot of money from that. Today we haven't reached that level, and we want to make sure that we have that within our local economy.
Right, I'm sure you'll have that.
Inshallah.
Mr. Garaialde, tell us about knowledge and entertainment. How does it work, and how important was the theme parks and the entertainment in UAE? How important was to support talents and also to support locals to work, to create like new jobs, new opportunities there?
Yes. If we look at the theme park industry in the country, it's quite new. I mean, we are talking about 10 years, 15 years. It's something quite recent. And of course, the expertise is not there yet. But what we see a growing interest from the Emirati population to come and work in the theme park industry. In Farah Experiences, then the operator of the three main parks in Yas Island, we've got close to 2,000 employees from 60 nationalities. And among those employees, we've got people coming from the main player in the industry at the management level. And our goal is to transfer this expertise to the local population. We started 2 years ago a program we call the Ambassador Program, where we go into the market to attract Emiratis to come and work within the industry. Because if you look at this industry, it's about finance, it's about human resources, it's about marketing and sales, it's about retail, F&B, entertainment, and operations. You've got like a lot of things that apply to any other industry, in fact, when it comes to the main component. Then what our goal is to bring more and more Emiratis. Right now, we've got in this program 200 Emiratis that join us within 2 years, where we train them. We already have the VP of Operations reporting directly to me. He's an Emirati. He started 4 years ago. I was his mentor, and my goal was to bring him up to that level, and it has been very successful. And what we want to develop is to have more and more people like Al Hassan joining the group and being able to grow with us. That's the first thing. And of course, we need to work around with the schools to attract more and more Emiratis and to make them understand what our industry is all about. And what we do, we developed in the past years also educational program. We've got schools coming to the parks to try to understand how things work. And just to give you an example, on the maintenance side, we've got quite one ride in Ferrari World, which is called Formula Rossa, that goes from 0 to 240 kilometers per hour in 5 seconds. It's a game, but behind this, it's a very high technology thing. Then we bring schools to teach them to make them understand what's behind the scene, and what we see, it's a very successful program. Another example, that's Yes Water World. The water treatment is very impressive. We are able to clean the water, to purify it like 5 times every day. That's something which is heavy behind. People don't think about this. Of course, entertainment is like fun, not serious, but it is.
I'm planning to come.
Exactly. And that's something which is very serious, which is very interesting, and that's what we want to capitalize on this, and again, to attract more and more people to come and work within this industry.
Great. Mr. Zenas, would you please tell us about how the entertainment sector supports talents and spread knowledge? Sorry.
Well, I think the interesting thing in general, education is passed through studying, but knowledge, I think, is passed through experience and doing. So the important thing is, in order to have that spread and growth of knowledge, you have to have the industry, and you have to have enabling factors that bring it in. So whether it's theme parks or the movie industry or video games or animation, to start the foundation of that, that's where the government comes in by enabling outside opportunities to come and locate, locally. But then ultimately, for it to be sustainable, it goes back to localization and, creating an ecosystem that allows for localized content. So whether you're a new culture and the government allows, attractive permitting for filmmaking in unique environments, and that's a good way to incubate it, and then you'll grow the support staff over time and eventually, ideally, incubate to creating a localized content. Similarly, what Olivier was saying with the theme park world, what's fascinating about that is the diversity of skills that go into designing, building, maintaining, and operating a location-based entertainment like that. It requires the most sophisticated engineering, it requires digital technology, it requires creativity and story writing and artistry, and that to me is what is wonderful about the entertainment ecosystem, because it is truly all the focus of STEM and STEAM education comes together in those products.
Great. Madam Samra, you said that we want our content, because now you're producing, as you said previously, you said we want our content to carry a message. Tell us more about the message that you want to deliver through this VOD system that you're running.
Sure. So we are in the entertainment business. So after all, what we want to deliver is something that people would like, and it amuses them, and they find interesting. But what I was trying to say is that giving that this is the direction that we are taking, and it is entertainment content, whether it is movies or series, the cultural and information messages can be passed. So there is a lot of successful examples of a series that has been created for edutainment, whether it is targeting the youth or younger generation, or even to talk about technology or talk about AR and VR, and give some insights for people. So what is really striking nowadays and very nice is that information, in order for you to capture that information, you really don't need to work hard to do that. I mean, it's there for you. It is there, available in all of the digital mediums for you to find, consume, and learn. The other day, I was able to see a full course on blockchain, so you don't need really to go to a classroom to learn about it, as an example. So this is the use of the entertainment, edutainment, entertainment, the media industry, and its role in the information, delivering the information, and how it is transforming and how it's becoming easier nowadays through the digital transformation that we are going through. That being said, I wanted to explain as well that with the phase that we are going through, there are lots of new work opportunities that has been opened that was or did not exist earlier on. So a funny story is before 3 years, when I wanted to create the structure for my team, I introduced a position called product management. Then the HR was questioning me, what does this mean? And actually, this role is one of the main roles in the industry. So what I'm trying to say is that this role 10 years back or 7 years back did not exist. And this is a new role that came into picture that is something that is very important. Similarly, for many other positions that nowadays exist that did not exist before. And in my opinion, in this space, these positions and these work opportunities are going to grow. And we're going to start hearing about new work opportunities that did not exist before. On the support of the localization as well, we've done a deal with, or a partnership with the Shams, which is the Sharjah Media City, to encourage young talents to create content. And these people, whether they're coming from the AUS or Sharjah University or other universities in Sharjah, we encourage them to create content that represent them, and then we will support them through our streaming video on demand service, get that content, put it on it, market it, and make it available for the audience. So this is another way of supporting the society.
Great. Now we have about 9 minutes to close this panel. I think we have time for receiving questions from the audience.
Thank you very much. It was very interesting. I'm a strong believer of creativity. I can see what's going on in the Middle East, around the world. We're going through a lot of change. But what I want to ask is, what are you contributing to the creative industries? You know, we all know a lot of performers, a lot of costume designers, a lot of production managers. So what are you providing to these people that are actually, they may be succeeding abroad or in Hollywood? So what are the initiatives?
You want to ask something to Zenas?
Well, you know, even though we're based in Los Angeles, we're a international company. We're a design company that designs theme parks, museums, experiences, and we're based now in LA, Montreal, Beijing, Abu Dhabi, and in Riyadh. We believe that to succeed in a new culture, you have to be local there. We can only export what we do for so long, and really we see that as a transfer of knowledge. So our goal in the long term, say for Saudi, is to have a local design studio that is designing local product for that market with local trades and craftsmen that are tied to those ideals and understand the aesthetics and the important aspects of that culture. So that's, you know, ultimately how we do it. Or when we partner on a museum, we may do a lot of the work out of LA, but then we partner locally with craftsmen and designers and historians that are rooted in that culture. So we share our knowledge that way.
Right. Mr.
Maybe
Banaja?
I can answer partly. So one of the things that we're doing in Saudi Arabia is, other than licensing event companies, we're actually supporting them. So we do have funding for event companies today. If they get a license from us, and then they tell us what the economics of the event that they're running, and we know that they're falling short in certain areas, we will fund them. But however, there's obviously a lot of different jobs that go into creating a successful event or creating something successful in the entertainment industry as a whole. We have an initiative going on today whereby we are classifying all the categories of these jobs, seeing what is in high demand, and then working with incubators, accelerating other government entities so that we can upskill some of these. This year, or sorry, in 2019, other than creating these job classifications that are needed to fill some of the jobs in the industry, we will be training around 2,000 of these support functions. We will then try to see how we can upscale these through some other government entities as well as local entities. There are a lot of people that support the arts and culture, some here in the Emirates, some Saudis here in the Emirates, and some as well in Saudi Arabia. I think this is going to be our #1 challenge, which is basically making sure that you upskill all of the different categories of jobs that you require to fill in this sector. Like Joe said, in Saudi Arabia, the first couple of years, what we've done was kind of ignite the sector to make sure that there's a social acceptance for things. So some of the quick wins, some of the events, some things were brought from the West into Saudi Arabia to show that this is something that has a high demand. But now our challenge is basically sustaining these things, and in order to do that, we need to go through it in a systematic way to create, to support some of these local talents that you're talking about.
Thank you. Another question?
مرحبا.
هناك في سؤال.
مرحبا. بالعكس.
أهلا وسهلا.
كيف حالك؟
أهلا وسهلا. تفضل.
يعطيكم العافية. حاب أسأل للمدير الترفيه بالسعودية. سيدي زي ما بنعرف إنه إحنا داخلين على المستقبل وداخلين بسرعة. الأستاذ هون حكى إنه ما عندنا خبرة كثيرة في الترفيه في الماضي. فهل إنه لا حسبنا حساب الجيل القادم؟ العالم قاعد بيحكي إنه شكل دماغ تبع أطفالنا الجيل الجديد اختلف عن شكل دماغنا. فهل هذولا راح يظلوا نفس الألعاب ونفس الترفيه اللي بدهم إياه في المستقبل؟ ما بعرف هل إنه درسنا الجيل القادم الجيل الصغير أو استعنا فيهم إنه شو الألعاب اللي بدهم إياها؟ زي ما عرفنا إنه قبل شهر شركة تويز أند طلعت من السوق لأنه كانت بتفكر إنه لسه الناس ماشيين على نفس النمط، زي ما بنعرف إنه في شركات كبيرة قاعدة بتطلع، فهل كمان الترفيه في المستقبل راح يضل نفس الشيء؟ شكراً.
طيب اجاوب بالعربي. طبعا الترفيه ما حيستمر زي ما كان عليه على الماضي، والتحدي هو طبعا ايش الاشياء اللي احنا سويناها. في طريقه اللي هي والله تدرس الاسواق الاخرى وايش هي الاشياء اللي هي مبتكره في الاسواق الاخرى وتحاول انك انت تجيب هذه الاشياء، ولكن اعتقد انه هذه القطاع قطاع مبدع جدا، فانت لازم تكون كجهه حكوميه نوعا ما تكون deregulating السكتور، ما تكون overly regulating it على اساس انك انت تكون basically enabling الكرياتيفيتي اللي طالعه من السكتور. A great example is Cirque du Soleil and allowing disruption اللي صاير في Cirque du Soleil. ما حد كان يتوقع انه والله السيركس حيتحول من سيركس في على سبيل المثال حيوانات والان دحين كله acrobatics و very creative. اعتقد من الصعب جدا انك انت تقول والله ايش هو المستقبل ال5 سنوات القادمه، بس الشيء اللي انت لازم تسويه هو انك انت تسمح للابداع يكون موجود عندك في السعوديه وغيرها من الدول طبعا، على اساس القطاع هذا ينمو بنفسه. ما حد كان يتوقع انه شركات زي نتفليكس ولا تلفاز ولا غيرها من الاشياء الابداعيه طلعت. فاحنا كمشرع نتمنى انه احنا ما نكون مشرعين يعني نحط too much regulations على basically اللي يبغوا ينموا businesses في القطاع هذا، بالعكس نكون مساعدين ومكملين لاشياء ابداعيه من خلال خلق اللي هي مسرعات الاعمال الكرييتيف الامور هذه كلها. فالتطلع الابداعات اللي صارت في الماضي هذا جانب، ولكن السماح لابداع جديد هو المطلوب مننا.
Good afternoon. My question is for Mr. Olivier. It's two parts actually. First part is talking about the supply and demand factors for entertainment, especially in UAE. We have seen in the last 2 to 3 years probably a lot of new entertainment parks, like Dubai parks, like IMG, like many of the Abu Dhabi-based Yas Islands. So if you can share if that is oversupply or if that's something building for the future, and whether the demand within UAE is enough or this is, you know, just to take all the whole region. That's the first part of my question. The second part is talking about creating jobs and creating opportunities for the youth. Through my experience in Europe and in the US, we have seen amusement park in general, they create a lot of job for students and for new graduates. Like in Disney, France, and a lot of amusement parks in the US, they take a lot of internships where they teach students, they give them some of the education and probably provide them some future opportunities. Probably I'm wrong, but I don't see that much here in this part of the world. So if you can share your thoughts on this.
Sure. First of all, for the oversupply, I mean, it's true that the past 2-3 years, many theme parks opened in the UAE. We've got IMG, Dubai Park and Resorts, Lamer recently in Dubai. We've got Warner Brothers that's opened in July. But if you look at the overall, I mean, we need to get a critical mass. And of course, by having all these different destinations within the UAE, will be more and more attractive, and it will become a real destination. If you look, I mean, we can do some comparison. If you look Orlando in the 70s, when Disney came there were nothing. Today, you've got like almost 100 million people coming every year to Orlando to visit this location. Was it easy from day one? Definitely not. During 10 years, if you look at the history of Disney, 10 years in Orlando, after 10 years, they were close to the bankruptcy. And now it's a very successful destination, it's a very successful company. Then if we look at our scales, I mean, at the UAE level, it's very recent. We cannot judge and we cannot have early conclusion of what's going on right now after 1 year, 2 years. It's a growing market. If you look at the environment, as we said earlier, from 3-4 hours flight, you've got India, which is a huge market for us. We see that year on year. We've got a double-digit growth. China is more and more coming. We've gotten more and more visitation from China. Again, double-digit growth. You've got Russia. You've got Europe. It's a beautiful destination. And of course, theme parks is one thing, but as Joe said earlier, it's not only about theme parks, it's also about the culture. If we looking at Abu Dhabi, we developed Louvre. We've got Qasr al-Hosn would open yesterday. We've got the Sheikh Zayed Mosque. We've got all these different components which build a very attractive destination at a very reasonable price. You've got, I would say, one of the best offers in the market when it comes to the quality of the service, the quality of the offer, and the price point. Then it's just, we need just, again, it's new, we just need to adapt ourselves and to make it happen. The second part of the second question that you had regarding the talent and to bring more and more talent, again, the leisure entertainment, it's a new dimension in the countries. And it's an industry like any other industry, because you've got a product, and this product, you need to sell it, and you need to manage it. You know, you've got Procter & Gamble, they sell toothpaste and soap, and they have marketing, they have sales, they have human resources, they have finance to manage the whole things. Theme park is the same. We are offering a fun and entertainment component, but we need to manage it well. And it requires human resources, it requires finance, it requires sales and marketing, all these different aspects and expertise. And there's no reason why this industry should not attract, as any other industry, all the local community to come and work with us. And we see this. I mean, 2 or 3 years ago, we had like maybe in the company 2 or 3 Emiratis. Today, we've got 200. And it's very successful. They really enjoy to work, to discover this new environment. And I would say so far we are successful, and I have no doubt that they will have more and more Emiratis coming and work in this industry.
شكرا جزيلا لكم. نتوقف عن أخذ الأسئلة لأن انتهى الوقت. شكرا لكل من حضر هذه الجلسة، وأيضا أشكر ضيوفي السيد عمرو بناجة. نتطلع بكل حب وفخر وفرح لتجربة الترفيه في السعودية. متأكدة أنه في الجلسات المقبلة سنتحدث عن مشاريع كبيرة افتتحت، وأيضا اقتصاد ارتفع بهذه المشاريع. شكرا لك السيد أوليفير غارالدي، مستر جو زانكس، شكرا جزيلا لك السيدة نادين سمرة. شكرا لكم وأتمنى لكم التوفيق.